why. Having read 24 books this year is a big win for me. It shows that I have finally, officially rekindled my love for reading. Coming up at number 24, Fireworks by Katie Katugno. This book is terrible. My sister bought this book because it says that it's from a New York's best-selling author. I tried to read it and I got bored. So bored. But I don't know why. Every year I tried to read it again. I managed to finish it this year. And by finishing it, I mean just skimming until it's over. Basically, it's about two best friends, and then there's a singing competition that can make the winner a legit pop star. And then there's this guy involved, and then blah, blah, blah. It's mostly about friendship, but there's also romance on the side. The plot is not good. It's so boring. It's so typical. The characters are... I cannot believe I wasted my time 6 times to read this book. By the way, have you ever heard of this book? No? I don't think so. Coming up next, The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Shin. I was at a point in my life this year where I was curious about manifestation. At first I was hooked, especially because there's Bible verses in it, and I'm a Christian. But the more I read it, the more I realized that the book is very... The book is boo-okay. It's like... I'm pretty sure you've heard this book before. The Secret. I've never actually read that book, but I am not interested in reading it. It sounds boo-okay to me, especially when I watched Jack Edwards' review.
On a fundamental level, I can acknowledge that that would work in the sense that if you are constantly thinking about your goals and you always have them in mind, then naturally, instinctively, you will make efforts to achieve them. But this book takes that one step further and basically suggests that if you want something, you should behave as if you already have it. So if you want to be a millionaire, it doesn't matter how many zeros are in your bank account or whether your bank account is just 0, you should behave like a millionaire and tell yourself that you can afford anything you want. But surely that will just constantly leave you with the crushing reality that you're not actually a millionaire. This book also gives some of the most wild, outlandish, outrageous evidence, which I don't believe for a single second. Ultimately, if you behave in the way that this book encourages you to behave, you will just be a bit of a dick. Because it will make you feel so entitled to success, when actually life is incredibly complex and things happen unexpectedly that aren't because you're a terrible person, it's just because life gets in the way. This book will just make you delusional, and it is so full of its own self-importance that it is just horrible to read.
And his review about The Secret is my thoughts exactly about this book, The Game of Life and How to Play It. What irks me more about this book is it includes Bible verses, right? Like I said before. But the author has taken the Bible verses out of context. And so it's misleading. I mean, if you want to use Bible verses, use it right. Coming up next, Messages to Young People by Ellen G. White. I have read this book before, so this was a reread. The first time I read it, I enjoyed it. I liked it. This time, though, it is not as interesting as last time. You know, there's nothing new in it. The whole time when I was reading it, I was like, yeah, I already know. What else you got? Next, Heaven by Mieko Kawakami. First of all, the cover is very pretty. The story is poignant. It's about a girl and a boy. They both are bullied, and because of the similar circumstances that they have, they decided to form an alliance. The bullying here is so intense. So intense. It's like those bullying scenes you see in K-dramas. It's maybe worse. It's a good book. It's just not for me. The characters are well written, I think, but I find them annoying. Although I do understand why they act a certain way, but still. Happy Money by Ken Honda. Happy Money is a good book. The thing is, before that, I already read The Psychology of Money. These two books are similar, not only in terms of finance, but in terms of financial mindset and principles. Not a lot of books talk about that. They usually focus more on the technical aspect, but not these two books. They're great. And so because I read The Psychology of Money, when I read this book, I didn't find anything particularly groundbreaking. Next, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. If you want to be rich, read this book. A lot of people like this book, but There's also a lot of people that they find that the book looks down on middle class people and below that because of their refusal to become rich. I agree with that on one point, but if I'm not mistaken, in the middle of the book, he gave sort of a disclaimer that this book is only for those who want to be rich. You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. This book is not particularly bad. I would say it's alright. It's just a glorified blog post. I've already heard a lot of her advice on self-help YouTube videos. So when I read the book, I'm like, yeah, alright, I already know this. Next. But I guess if you're new to self-help, especially if you want to build confidence and self-love, I would recommend you this book. To All the Boys I've Loved Before. The series. All 3 books. I already read the first book back in 2017, reread it this year, still liked it. Maybe not as much as I used to. Only this time, I finally read the second and third book. I like the second one too, because John Ambrose McLaren. The third one, however, it's cringy, and I find Laura Jean annoying there in that book particularly. Winning the War in Your Mind by Craig Groeschel. As humans, we tend to have destructive thoughts, right? Bad thoughts, whatever. But a lot of these thoughts are not truths. Your brain tends to lie. The author of the book, who's also a pastor, by the way, suggested to replace these destructive thoughts with biblical truths. So if you say things like, I feel ugly, replace that with a biblical truth, as in, I am fearfully and wonderfully made by the Lord. Designing Your Life by Bill Burnett and Dave Evans. It's a very action-based book. You should definitely try it if you feel like you're already lost in life. Even if you're not, you can use this to audit your life. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. There's a reason why this book is popular. It's a really good book. But a lot of self-help videos already mentioned his ideas, so it's not really new to me. But I definitely enjoyed reading that book. Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Unlike a lot of finance books, which are more technical in nature, this one is more, it deals with people's mindset about money, which is more important, and it's definitely a good start to learn before you take on the technical aspect of finances. The second half, however, talks a lot about investing, and I got bored in that part. I had to power through to finish it. But overall, great book. Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Turns out it's 25 books, not 24. I cannot believe I missed a book, and it's this book out of all books. I wasn't gonna read it at first, but my friend recommended it, my sister, people of the internet, so I was like, fine. I read it, and I didn't expect to like the book, but I really do. It's so good. It's a rom-com, enemies to lovers trope, sets in high school, and it's not a typical story that falls in that realm, which is surprising to me. What's most surprising is the characters. I love all the characters there. I love how they're not one-dimensional, they have depth, and I love how they're interesting in their own way. I really want to tell you about the certain character that I'm most shocked about, but I don't know how to tell you without spoiling the story. Oh, what the hell. There's this girl. I already forgot her name. There's this girl, which the main character thinks is a spoiled brat because they've known each other since they were kids, and that girl was a brat, but she's grown up to be a perfectly mature woman. Mature, kind, pretty, etc. The way the main character, who's a girl, describes about her, it makes you think that that girl, the main character is referring to, is a bully or is someone mean to her. Turns out she's not. She's genuinely nice. She's just genuinely nice and smart and pretty and mature. I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. It's very shocking getting to know the things that she has been through because in her interviews, she seemed so bubbly. I don't normally read autobiography, but Jeanette McCurdy's book is so good. It's very vulnerable, very insightful. Learned a lot of things from her. Also well written, easy read. If you want to read this book, first be mindful of the trigger warnings. There's a lot. Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. I love a good whodunit book. Or a whodunit movie, whatever. I like how we get to explore each character. I like how sort of aloof and sarcastic the main character is. But best of all, the plot twist. Like a lot of mystery books, you have these assumptions, right? Maybe you guessed it, maybe you didn't. I thought I guessed it. I thought, you know what, maybe the plot twist isn't such a big plot twist after all. It blew my mind. Percy Jackson and the Olympians. The whole 6 books. 6. Well, 5, but the 6th one came out this year. By the way, the Percy Jackson and the Olympians show came out already. Haven't watched it though, but I will soon. Yeah, I just got back into reading fiction. And Percy Jackson and the Olympians is definitely a good choice. Easy read, definitely. Well, I just realized the character is similar to the main character in Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. The 6th book came out this year. Definitely a fun read. The 1st to 5th, that's the main plot. The 6th is sort of like a sequel, Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book is everywhere, and it's everywhere for a reason. It is that good, very instructional, very easy to read. If you're not the type of person to read and you want to get started in nonfiction, definitely would recommend Atomic Habits. At the top of the list, Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. I love this book so much that I made a video about it. The book is short. It has a lot of pictures. It's straightforward. Definitely a light read. Very engaging. And if you're someone who wants to unleash your creativity, definitely start with this book.